here's a little hand model that you can use with your students when you're talking about effective learning. So this, you may have seen this before, this is the model of a brain. This part here is our frontal cortex. The frontal cortex here in our brain is the part that we use for logic and reasoning, for our schoolwork, for focusing, for calculating things and analyzing things. So this is the learning part of our brain. Then inside the brain, we have this part here, which is the limbic system. The limbic system is basically the emotional center of our brain. So this part here is all about how we feel about things. Then this part here is the brainstem. So the brainstem is survival. So it's your breathing, it's your heart rate, it's your blood pumping around your body, all of that, survival. So our frontal cortex, responsible for learning, when we are under stress, or we are hungry, or we're tired, or we're really bothered by something that happened earlier in the day, the frontal cortex goes offline, or some people say flippulate, and you're functioning out of your emotional part of your brain. So this part here is comes online when you're feeling that way, and it's controlling your actions instead of your logical thinking part of your brain. So this is when your students in your class might be acting a bit irrational. You're trying to reason with them and they're shouting and throwing things, and they're in this part of the brain. There is no reasoning with them because this reasoning part has gone offline. So all we can do really at this stage is to help them to feel safe and to help to calm them down by listening to them and letting them know that you have heard them and their concerns. This part here, the survival part of the brain, is students go into this when they feel unsafe and their body has started to register that whatever is happening is now life endangering. So the brain can't tell the difference between stress and a train barreling down the tracks towards you in certain death. So the brain has put your body into this state of alertness. This is what people know as the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response. We see this in students who just blow up and shout and run out of the classroom, or when they completely freeze and stop talking to us and it looks like they're gone offline. The fawn is where they just want to please you and say something to keep you happy and off their back so they can just calm down. So frontal cortex is our thinking part of the brain, limbic system is the emotional part of the brain, and the brainstem is survival. So what we really want is all three working together. Survival just ticking along nicely, keeping your breathing rate nice and steady. Emotional brain, you're still allowed to feel things. It's just that it's not controlling how you're going. And then the frontal cortex. What's worth mentioning here is that we're not fully functioning out of our frontal cortex, our reasonable, logical part of our brain, until we're in our early to mid-20s. So toddlers and teenagers are famous for functioning out of their limbic system, their emotional brain, which is why you can't reason with a toddler or a teenager when they're upset. It's just not going to happen because they're not thinking logically, naturally. They are functioning from here. If you want to know all about the brain science and the fight and flight mode and learning brain versus survival brain, I cover all of that in module 1 of my course. You can find it on bloomliteracyskills.com. Just scroll down to the banner all about courses and that's where you'll find it.